Welcome back, United fans. My name is Chris Walker, and this is a post-match live stream edition of the State of United, a podcast on the Seek and Strike Network dedicated to covering New Mexico United. Joining me is my co-host tonight, Patrick Baca. Patrick, heard you got some Wingstop. What flavors did you get?
First of all, Wingstop has like the best deals ever. I always fail to remember that every time that I log on to Wingstop. We got 20 wings for $4. Yeah. Had some Selena's Nina was over today, so we got some extra wings and some fries. My wife loves the classic mild. We love ourselves some honey barbecue. But my favorite flavor from Wingstop is that Louisiana dry rub. Have you ever had it before?
Yeah, actually I have. It's like the Cajun spice, right?
Yeah, it's kind of nice little kick to it. It's like my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to watch the game, eat some wings. What about you? What'd you grab?
Oh man, so I was at Bosque Heights. Got to give a shout out to Bosque Heights. Plug that right there. I typically started off with the queso fries, and we'll get the the red chili pulled chicken. So that's usually where I go. I love that one, man, but all them potatoes, I think it kind of does me in at the same time. I start to get kind of slow on the fries a little bit. But I was able to wash it down with one of those Tropicos. It's like a passion fruit guava kind of taste. If you're familiar with the Elephants on Parade, it's like that. It was described to as like that. But it's more of a fruity taste to it. So, just think about drinking Tampico with a little hops.
A little hoppy Tampico.
A little hoppy Tampico. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So so that basically was what I had, kind of chilled with the folks that came over to Bosque Heights. Not a lot of people in the house tonight. Still a presence, still some ambiance, still some cheers for what transpired at Cashman Field, which we'll get into. But a lot of the folks were at Cashman Field. And, anytime the watch parties can be empty because they're there in person cheering on the guys, I mean, I'm for it. What do you think about that?
I love it. Especially because Vegas is one of those nice weekend getaways. It's like one of those ones that I think they said on the telecast it's 8 hours from Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Is it 8 hours from Albuquerque?
I mean, it probably is if you're trying to get there hella fast.
Well, flying these days is not
not an option. Son.
Not an
option.
Not an option anymore. Especially, especially. Was it you that posted that article? About
I shared that one loud and wide. I was like, road trips,
and then Southwest getting rid of free carry-ons.
I know. You got to be an A-lister. Right?
And did you see that? You have to 40,000 miles or something like
that? Dude, they're trying to get everyone to sign up for a credit card for sure.
Anyways, no, going to Vegas is I think it's 10 hours drive for us. We go up through Phoenix and through Tucson up into Phoenix into Vegas from that.
Yeah.
So it's about 10 hours. Nice. But anyways, it's a nice trip. Going to Vegas is always fun.
I hadn't been there in a while, man. The last time I went there with my family, and if I don't count any of the layovers in Vegas, right? But I went there with my family. I think my sister went and got a massage. My parents left me, and I think I was in Excalibur. I'm not sure. It was the one with all the TVs and people making parlay bets and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it might have been there, but I was locked in for some NFL playoff football for sure.
Oh yeah.
And other than that, man, I was kind of scanning my memories about Vegas as you were talking about it just a moment ago, and I was thinking about one of the first times I went to Vegas as a kid back in 1989. You're like, what? I wasn't even born yet.
No, yeah, no,
you weren't. I know,
no.
And it was 1989, man. I went there for a what was it? It was a field trip. I was with the youth center over at March Air Force Base in Riverside, California. And it was before that base became a reserve base. And so basically every year, the kids in the preteen club depending on how many points you had earned from going to all the little dances and all the events, you had a chance to go to their trip. And their trip was to Vegas. And so part of that trip was stopping at State Line, hitting the Nickel Arcade, which, bro, have you ever played Super Mario 3 for a nickel? I mean, you can play for free, but have you ever played for a nickel?
No, but we in Albuquerque, Hinkle used to have like the nickel arcade.
That's true. Well, you're trying. It's not the same, okay?
Okay.
it's not the same. Okay, it's not the same. so it's like a full-on nickel arcade, right? And so then, of course, after the nickel arcade, we get to Vegas, and we're staying at Circus Circus. And this is back in the day again. Circus Circus. The first things that come to mind are all the rooms are colored a different color, inflatable Crayola crayons, 2 levels of excitement, trying to win the stuffed animals, right? You can get like the 2 or 3 miniature stuffed animals to get the giant version of it. Same stuff you see at the fairs these days.
Yeah.
But essentially just remember, like, that was kind of the adventure when you're 9 years old. Well, in my case, I was 9 years old. And you're out there, you don't have your family with you, and you're like just cutting up with the rest of the kids. It was a fun time. So, that is my little Vegas capsule as far as how good it can be there, right?
Yeah, the last time we went to Vegas, Selena got sick, but me and Irene spent way too much money on tattoos, so we probably are gonna regret later on for too much. It was way too much.
Never.
They're so tiny. They're so tiny. Let's see if they could. Like we both got 7s.
You can never spend too much money on tattoos. I mean,
that's true. You can, but
it's justified. It's justified.
It's definitely yeah. It was definitely. I don't think we were that intoxicated.
Yeah,
but that was a lot. So. But let's get into what everybody came here to.
Okay. We can do that. Real quick, we're not streaming to the Instagram tonight. I had it set up, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to do it now that we're in stream. So that one, we'll just hopefully they have figured it out to come to YouTube or Facebook and watch there. We'll probably put a chat out to our State of the United chat. Pat, and then also maybe put one out to Irene so she knows.
Oh yeah, she's watching. She definitely found it. Are you guys live?
She's yes. Definitely found it. Okay,
she definitely found it.
All right. Well then, let's get into tonight's post-match live stream. New Mexico United traveled to Las Vegas Lights, Cashman Field, as we said. This game definitely full of feels. I'm sure all kinds of emotions get tapped onto. Final result, we know at the death 3-2 New Mexico United with the stunner, which we'll get back into. But Pat, initially, what is your one-liner instant reaction?
Thank God.
That's fitting.
Yeah, no, I don't want to use my one-liner that I have for later on.
Oh, you want to save it?
Yeah, I want to save that one-liner for later on.
Okay.
But when I typed that one in, I will admit things went downhill from there.
Okay.
So that's why my initial reaction is, thank God I don't have to go back and rewrite what I had down earlier.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't have a pre-rehearsed initial reaction, so I'm just probably going to be shooting from the hip. But I think I would just say, like, God, I don't even know, man.
Thank God too.
No, I mean, like, my mind wants to say Johnny on the spot a lot, right? Because that clearly was kind of what was happening. But honestly, though, I think it's just like, the house doesn't win.
Yeah. Ooh, see, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I had to come up with the Vegas puns while I was doing my notes.
Yeah, dealer folds. It's one of those situations, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we got kind of plenty. We obviously previewed this match back on Wednesday, was it, right?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. And so we were certainly obviously foreshadowing folding the House of Cards. So I'm so glad the preview theme kind of stuck through. So Pat, we kind of given our initial reactions. Be it you are holding out on everyone here, so now everyone is definitely gonna pressure you through this episode when they start hitting the chat. Hopefully, eventually, we'll be like, yeah, we want to hear what Pat's got to say. So definitely make sure you cue in. If you are joining the live stream at some point in here, whether you are now watching or you will be watching it in a little bit, if you have anything to say, we would love to share the link with you in the chat to bring folks up to share their comments in the show. We want to bring you on and, kind of like a live caller situation. So, if, when people jump in, as we can see it, then we will certainly share that link out. In fact, I'll probably put it in there right now, and then Pat will just keep talking. And when we find a point to have a caller, then we'll bring someone on the show.
We'll bring him in. Definitely.
So go ahead and kick us off, Pat. Into our talk tonight.
Yeah, so definitely some things to talk about from the preview. So if you got a chance to listen to the preview, or if you haven't, definitely go take a chance. We'll kind of cover some of those things, I think, now. But one of the things that we covered, I think, was what was the lineup going to look like. Obviously, we go into a 4-3-3, kept it the same. That is something that we discussed in the preview episode, especially losing Kalen Ryden. What that lineup is going to look like, who is going to switch in. And the one thing that I will put out there, just kind of run through it real quick. In the back, Gloucester, Maples, Herbert, Seymour. In the middle, Vargas, Bailey, Rivas, Akale, Hurst, and Gaines. All the same except for Herbert obviously comes in for Kalen Ryden. And then Sergio Rivas actually replaced Pondeca in the starting lineup, and that's kind of where I wanted to start. Was we kind of prefaced that was Sergio Rivas's performance good enough to net him into the starting 11, and it seems like that was totally the case. Chris, how did you feel about his performance today?
I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, the fact that he was, called upon to be the gentleman to start, it says a lot probably about the work that he's been putting in. Obviously, we know Sergio Rivas has been, on a journey of his own, right, to probably prove that he, still has what he's got, through the injury that he was fighting through in the offseason. Obviously, we can talk about how he was a trialist and, about how he ultimately earned his spot back onto the team, and here he is trying to make the most of every opportunity. So I thought it was good to see him in the lineup today. I thought he did. I thought his play was excellent. I mean, there's definitely some moments probably that we could address as link up play is concerned, but I mean, for the most part, I think he had a good showing.
Did the lineup surprise you at all? I don't think it surprised me very much going into it. I think we both agreed that Herbert was going to be the one that came in for the absent Kalen Ryden.
Yeah. Totally. I got ahead of myself, but hey, you know what? I shared it. Thoughts on the lineup for sure. I mean, Sergio being a part of it. Like I said, I thought it was definitely there obviously had some decision making to be done, and he, obviously had put in the work to be the next one in line. Other than that, the lineup, yeah, definitely you called it, Herbert. We were talking that we thought it was definitely going to be him that was going to be in the lineup. I remember having a little bit of chatter saying, I wonder if Coach would put in Jackson Dubois and kind of put a little youth in the lineup, if this was the right time for that. Probably not, though, because, I mean, not anything towards Jackson, but probably just the fact that, he needed to make sure that he shored up the back line, and what next best player to probably put in was Anthony Herbert. And so I think that was a good call there. Until you were saying things about Pondeca, I had definitely been pondering where Pondeca was for the most part. But I liked everything else. I liked what we saw with the lineup. I thought it had enough juice for the moment, or, at least for what it looked like. The 4-3-3 formation, if we want to just shift into that conversation, I was definitely wondering about what we were going to be looking like tonight. You and I and Veronica, we had a conversation the last time. We thought, would Vegas kind of snap into a 4-2-3-1 and kind of, pretty much pay a lot of respect to New Mexico and kind of mirror us, or would they be able to just hold their own with that 3-4-3, being that they're at home, right? And New Mexico's obviously coming in and having to figure out what they got to do, and would New Mexico be into a 3-4-3? But then they're in that 4-3-3, and so I guess I want to just kind of get your take on that formation, and I mean what you thought it would potentially do.
And well, I think one thing that we kind of talked about in that preview was kind of the lights in the lineup they produced against. Why am I already Tampa Bay? I forgot who they played. It's only been 1 week. Would it be very similar game plan, game situation? And it felt like that for probably the first half. I don't know if you kind of picked up on that, kind of letting us play the ball a little bit more. And I think it was you that brought up the point of if Vegas plays the same kind of concept that they did against Tampa Bay, would that allow us to move the ball the way that we wanted to? And it seemed like that in the first half with some mistakes that we created on our own, obviously.
Right.
But go ahead.
No, I think we're on the same wavelength. I mean, Las Vegas was certainly playing, obviously, a defensive. They were doing a defensive job, right? For what it's worth. I mean, as you're kind of alluding to with Tampa Bay, they were very defensive, very not offensive, and to your point you made on the preview about them not looking as dynamic in possession, and essentially, not having a great showing, but they were just waiting for obviously the aggressor to make a mistake. And I think tonight what you had is Vegas giving New Mexico a lot of opportunities with the ball, maybe because they wanted the mistakes to procure and they wanted to harp on those opportunities. It's like the old adage, giving someone enough rope, right? So essentially, like, were they basically trying to say, hey, like, we're just going to kind of let you kind of set us up a little bit because we're really good on the transition,
right?
And
I think that kind of might end up being what we're going to see out of Vegas a little bit more, because it feels like almost like a trap, right? Like not an offsides trap or anything like that. Like, let's keep sucking in all this pressure and wait for you to commit too much and ultimately make a mistake or something like what we saw against Tampa Bay. It happened again tonight against United, where we made a few mistakes in the back, which led to opportunities for Vegas to get forward. And it happened a few times in the first half, where we committed a little bit too much going forward, and we were having to sprint back to get on our own side on defense. And I think Vegas, from these two games, if that's kind of the concept that they're going to roll with, are doing a pretty good job, if you ask me. Obviously, you get 3 points out of 2 games. Maybe in your mind, if you're a Vegas fan, you're thinking at bare minimum we should have walked away with 4 points in 2 games and be happy with it. And then obviously, Lady Luck strikes a little too hard against the house, and so and
right, dice roll.
Shouldn't always put it on black, but
don't put it on red for sure. Definitely don't put it on red.
Yeah. But definitely one of those situations where I think they're if that's the concept that they're going to play, I think that they're doing a very good job of kind of holding that shell and creating their own opportunities on the counter. And if they play the counter all season long, I think that they probably expand a little bit more and get a little bit more dynamic. Like you said, I didn't think that they were very dynamic. I didn't think that they offered much other than let's counterattack. Like, they got an ugly win. I think that's what I said on Wednesday. It was just
you did say that.
It was just an ugly win, but
felt like people had to be hurt or something.
Like it just, and that's just the way that it went. And we kind of saw that a little bit tonight too from Vegas, which wasn't nice for us. But if you're looking, if you're looking at Vegas's perspective, I think that they're doing a very good job.
Well, first 25. I mean, that's really a time I think we all try to look and see, okay, like what's going on in the first 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Even the first 15. And there just really wasn't a lot going on for New Mexico. It was really a lot of just balls just really kind of being plotted into the final third, really for Vegas to kind of leap onto. I mean, they definitely had a lot of opportunities. And, it kind of got me thinking like, man, like, the back line looked nice. I mean, the back four were definitely playing gathered. They definitely were staying in shape as much as possible. But it was what was kind of happening in that lower mid that I think is where the opportunities were being kind of created for Las Vegas. Is that we were just kind of spread out too much, and it made me think like, man, there wasn't a lot of creation or a lot of things generating in that lower mid, for whatever the reason was. And that, I think that's what led me to think like we had a lot of possession, right? We had a lot of possession and we just could not do much with it. We were playing a very indirect game through most of that first half.
Yeah, and I think that was like one of those things that we also mentioned was, were we going to be able to get into those favorable positions? And I think that's what Vegas was doing good, was not allowing us to get into those in behind runs. We didn't see a whole lot of Akale getting into favorable spots where he likes to take on a couple of players and get himself into a good passing situation or a good shooting position. It seemed like we were trying to find that extra pass or that, like you said, that ball that gets into their final third. And it just was kind of cut out every single time. I mean, we don't have that dynamic play going into the first half. I don't want to jump ahead into the second half, but because there's a lot for us to talk about in the first half.
Right. Right. Yeah. In addition to that, there was that instance between Anthony Herbert and Johnny Rodriguez, where essentially Johnny Rodriguez finds the way past Herbert. Herbert obviously brushes up on the paint, right? I mean, essentially gets that yellow, but anything to not get obviously a red, right? I'm glad that we weren't going there, but it was definitely a familiar moment, probably from last week, with what happened with Kalen. And then I guess that was a moment when I was just thinking, well, we did talk about this might be a particular matchup that might happen. Johnny Rodriguez kind of striking the line and finding whoever is filling in for where Kalen Ryden was. So I think for Herbert to be able to kind of, hold his own, and gladly just walk away with a yellow was good. But man, that was certainly a moment when I was clutching pearls there.
Yeah, and I think everything that kind of leads up to that, because I think it's Talon Maples that actually comes up on a ball, not played to Johnny Rodriguez. I can't remember off the top of my head who he played to, but I think it's Maples that comes in a little strong, and so I thought, okay, cool, there's a foul there and nothing happens, right? And then the little tangle up. If we're being 100% honest, that is more of a red card than what Kalen got last week.
Right.
I like, in my mind, I'm sitting there seeing that happen and unfold, and I'm going, oh God, he's pulling out a red. In this foul from Herbert, in my eyes, is 100% more a red card than Kalen Ryden's red card from last week.
Yeah, I was sitting next to a referee at the watch party. Shout out to Kevin Wellman, and he was definitely saying just the same, like, oh man, he's like, that definitely could have been one right there. He's like last week's definitely was one. And I was like, oh, so it was quite interesting to have that conversation. But yeah, I guess on point with him and you being coach.
I probably am taking a deep breath with Herbert coming away with a yellow. I think Johnny is in on goal more so than last week's.
Yeah, he was definitely over the line.
Yeah. And so he was definitely free. He was definitely free to take a shot.
Oh.
And we know what Johnny Rodriguez can do.
Yeah, I mean, he would have shot it from there.
He probably takes an extra touch and then buries it, right? And so,
I mean, he probably pulls that LeBron, right? Just kind of just shoots it real quick.
Just a nifty little,
just a little bit.
And I think, so let's get into my storyline. That my one lighter is Lady Luck striking in Vegas for United, because that is the first strike of Lady Luck. I think we are very fortunate to get away with just a yellow.
Okay.
And because that's what, like, right before halftime, 36 minutes, 37 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's just I think that was one of the few things I felt a little bit more confident with our defense playing in the back, and I think that was just with the concept that Vegas brought into this game. It obviously gave us a little bit more freedom. There's not so much pressure like Sacramento brought, and so trying to kind of adapt to that, they looked a lot better. Obviously, I think there's the little mistakes, and that's what Vegas capitalizes on, and they get a good opportunity to get at it. Obviously, the free kick is kind of blustered off to the left, but I think it goes through the wall. But very fortunate night in that situation, in that regards.
Right. Greg Hurst gets the first goal of the night, right?
Right. He's gonna go ahead and score in the 51st. No, is it Greg Hurst?
The first goal?
Or is it it's Mackenzie Gaines that gets the first goal.
Oh, you're right.
Hurst gets the second. Hurst gets the second one.
My notes were a little jumbled there. Yeah, so Mackenzie Gaines gets the first goal. Talk about that goal a little bit,
though. Super happy for Mackenzie Gaines getting his name on the score sheet. But very much like I said, Lady Luck strikes. It is just poor clearance from Vegas's end. It's just not. I don't know so they go to play the ball back, and I don't know who, and I don't know why this defender tries to play it like side of the foot, back heel type of thing. I guess You're trying to catch off a Greg Hurst that's pursuing, but they're literally standing like a foot from each other, so that doesn't really do much, and so it kind of spills out, and then the left side center back, whoever's on that side, tries to clear the ball, lands straight to Mackenzie Gaines' feet.
Yeah, it was just
easy tapping.
Yeah, I was just looking at my notes. So they had already turned it over initially. Sergio Rivas comes up with the turnover. So then he is then coming down the left side of the goal box, right? And essentially plays in a square ball across the front. I mean, that wouldn't have been bad with the player on it, right? But, all I could think about was, who is he sending that to? But also, maybe there's something that's nonverbal. Hey, we got it. Just hit the lane, right? Hit the inside. I'm gonna have it there for you. But he does the best possible thing, right? Which is to kind of pass it across. But I mean, Pat, honestly, I would have just said, Sergio, just take the shot. Like, just put a little old English on it or something, and just try to at least get it in there, or maybe create the second ball. But we're fortunate, right? Because it does go where it goes. Eventually, the defender, like you said, tries to clear it out, and then it's like right there on the foot of Mackenzie Gaines.
Yeah, and I think I probably would like Sergio Rivas to probably shoot there too, but only one can wonder what's going through your mind on the field. And
I mean, look, you probably
ended in a goal, so
yeah, exactly. I mean, like, beggars can't be choosers, but like,
yeah.
but I mean, the thing is that he was probably just like, okay, I've got it. It's a tight window. I don't have a lot of time. He could. Let's just play what he could have done, right?
Yeah.
He could have gathered it, gone to his left side, set it up. Hey, let's set it up, right? Players come down. The window's definitely closed. Opportunities probably missed. You know what I'm saying? Or
right.
That's a very strong what he could have done. He could have just taken it. Hey, we're just going to reset this. I'm not going to throw this away. But he says, no, I'm going to put it in the lane. Maybe, just maybe, one of my guys is there. is going to hit the run up. You know, he kind of knew McKenzie was in the area, obviously, right? So again, just a little bit of that luck that you're talking about in Vegas, right? Of all places to do it, you know.
That's why we're hitting the puns.
It just happens.
As just a high school coach to me, good things happen. Good things happen when you play the ball into the box. Like it's just you want to give yourself that opportunity to obviously get on top of the first ball, but fortune. What is it? Fortune favors the ones who get towards the second ball, and so
virtuous here.
Yeah, and so little favors, right? And so that second ball is definitely what we get our hands on, our heads on, our feet on, whatever you want to call it, however you want to emphasize it. But yeah, usually when you put the ball into the box, and this isn't like a high school concept, this isn't a pro concept. You hear the Pep Guardiolas, you hear everybody else say this. When you give yourself an opportunity in the box and you can play a ball into the box, good things happen. And so I think that's probably what was going through his mind is, if I play this across, good things will happen. And so yeah, definitely grabbing it. And it definitely seems after that goal. Oh, what were you going to say?
No, continue.
I was going to say, definitely after that goal, it seems like we started playing the game that we originally set out to do. And we were a lot more dynamic after that first goal.
That's what I was going to say, actually. I was going to say, like, as soon as that started happening, then they started to kind of have to mark up on a guy. Like Vegas had to start marking up. There was no longer could they sit back. They actually had to kind of be forced to defend outside a little bit. And so that obviously is what was kind of the result of creating a second ball from, you know, that sort of ricochet, right?
Right.
So then I think we go into what I was thinking about, which was the Greg Hurst goal off of yet another Vegas error, pretty much where the defender is trying to shield the ball. I think he was probably holding it for the keeper, thinking he would come and grab it off of him, but the keeper doesn't get that communication, at least from where I saw it. And essentially Hurst and I believe, was that Rivas who was also there with him in front of goal, and they were, or was that a different
Marlon Vargas?
Okay, Marlon Vargas. And so they were basically, I'm sure it was like, yo, you got it or I got it, you know, and sure it just kind of went to Greg, and Greg was like, boom, slap.
Yeah, and that's Lady Luck strikes again. Yeah, that was a huge just like communication error, and then a swing and a miss too, right? I think he goes to realizes that the keeper can't come out, and by the time Vargas like kind of pokes it from his foot just enough, it's already like too late, and keeper's caught out in a bad spot. Little pass dump off to Hursty, and Hursty, 2 games, 2 goals.
Ooh, shout out.
That definitely, right definitely the confidence. If Hursty can grab another goal next week at home, I think this man will be on pace to set a record season for himself.
Talk about the long game. You remember the last couple of players who streaked like through games like that?
Yeah.
Probably Sergio Rivas was probably one of them. And I would say Chris Wehan definitely probably he's definitely had several games where he scored at least 1 goal. Like,
Devin Sandoval streaked for like 4 or 5 games. I think
we're gonna have to hit the history books, you know, between now and Wednesday, and kind of come back with those factoids, right?
Yeah, and it's definitely games where the early streaks are nice too. Like especially for strikers, that mindset, that mentality to streak kind of early. Gives you some confidence going into like the rest of the season. Like, you know, like even if you hit a lull somewhere in the middle of the season for 3 or 4 games, you go scoreless or pointless or or whatever, and no assists or anything like that. There's always that like, hey, I did this at the beginning of the season. Why can't I just do it now? And then you find the back of the net again, and it's there. And I think Hershey's finding himself at the right spot at the right time in these last 2 games. To grab both those goals. So,
I mean, again, just, you know, and his mentality is probably thinking a goal a game.
And
right?
and that's something that you said at the when we preface previewed the entire New Mexico roster, talking about Hursty's his need to score goals, and you even brought up 1 goal, 1 game, 1 goal, or 1 game, 1 goal, 1 game, 1 goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, like, look, this is. I recall, when he had scored at home last season, later in the season, he hadn't scored for a while, and just to do it, and he had done it twice, right? That was the game where he had gotten a couple, and just probably the joy that came above him, like, oh man, I finally have broken that deadlock of not scoring, and so now here he is, 2 goals, 2 weeks, and potentially, I mean, whatever he's doing, it's like, yo, keep doing it, Greg, because while it is a team effort, as we will always hear from them, having it doesn't hurt to have some personal goals for yourself as a player. And so if he is getting a goal a game, but as a team, they are playing together and they are pushing it across the line, I mean, I think those things go hand in hand. And that's usually what you see in those players like the Nick Markanich, like from last year, where he's setting a USL record of 30 goals, which, man, like I'd love to see Greg break that. But 30 goals, and essentially the team is better for it. They just didn't, they just at some point fell short of Rhode Island, right? Which, so I mean, good on Greg for that. So Gideon Zalalem makes a debut tonight. USL commentary building him up before he came in. He's the Arsenal Academy FC product. Sure, David Weesey Carl was like, let's go, because that's what he would do. As he probably has that Zalalem jersey. He probably has that Zalalem Arsenal jersey. I wouldn't doubt it. He probably does have it. And but I'm sure he was just pumped. I'm sure he was like, it's good to be a Gooner and everything he says. And so, yeah, I have sat through an Arsenal game with Mr. David Weesey Carl, and let me tell you, I probably know the words to that song. But he makes a debut tonight, and I think you just kind of watched him. You just wanted to see kind of what it was going to be. First one on in 2 games, obviously. What was your initial take?
Yeah, I don't really know if I had I think it was more of that, okay, let's see what he's gonna bring to the table type of look,
Okay.
and kind of what he's gonna provide, because he comes in late, correct?
Yes.
I
don't have the exact minute. I did not document.
But it was already 2-2 at that point, correct?
Right. Yes.
So. Yeah, and so I think that's kind of what crossed my mind is, okay, good on the.
Or no, it wasn't.
It was not 2-1.
It was 2-1. Sorry, I'm just looking at it now.
Okay.
He comes in. No, Vegas scores initially. It was still 2-0, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So okay, well then that changes. I could have sworn that the game was already.
The game was shifting towards Vegas, I believe, at that time. Like I said, not if you want to look at FOTMob to look at minute commentary, you can. I just remember it being somewhere in the midst of a lot of the momentum was shifting to Vegas at that moment in time. I remember him coming on, and it was definitely through a moment where New Mexico, was kind of struggling. Like I said, midfield, it was still about the same. Like I said, besides what was going on in the final third, I just felt like there had to be something. There's some changes to be made to that midfield, right? And so that's where Zalalem comes on. And I know there was another substitution at that time, but I was really just kind of focused in on him because, again, like you have a player that kind of carries a little bit of a pedigree with him. You want to go, okay, like let me see how this player is going to be. This is his first thing, and maybe it's the old footage that I've watched on him, Patrick, but where he's just talking about he wants to have the game at his feet and he wants to be able to kind of control where the ball's going. And I care about seeing what that's going to look like.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he got too. I don't want to say not too involved. He was definitely there on the field, right? Like, not to say that he wasn't, but
he just didn't have those opportunities.
Yeah, he didn't have those opportunities to kind of put the to kind of, I guess, showcase what he was wanting, what he says that he wants to showcase. And so I think for him, it's good for you to get on the field, and so I wonder if there would have been a different situation where he comes on. Because you're correct. I was looking up while you were talking. Vegas will score like right after he comes on,
Right.
minute
Yeah.
later. So
It was just a moment, right, where
yeah,
things changed. I think you could imagine, right? Like for someone to say, I like to control the game at my feet. I like to have that much control, right? The sort of game that's going to look like maybe somewhere into the season when there's a lot of gelling and a lot of chemistry, right, between the new guys and the other guys, and the older guys, the guys that came back, right? And so, what opponents that's going to look like, I mean, I'm waiting to see exactly what type of games those are. Are those,
right.
it's just are those just the ones where it's like we're already like juicing the opponent, it's already like 3-0, and we're, what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
like, he has a chance to just kind of just go crazy. I just want to take this moment though to just kind of again point out, hey, we're on the post game live stream. We did put the link to jump into the lobby and be a guest on the show. So if you're watching along and you had something to say about tonight's game, we'd love to hear from you. That's what we're doing with these post game lives when we go live about 30-ish minutes after the game. So definitely, Phil, if you want to come on and say something, we definitely got you. We definitely put you on, hear your comment, and have a little conversation with you. So by all means, click that. If I see you in the lobby, I'll bring you on, and we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll just keep rolling. Pat, so we've talked a little bit about the debut of Gideon Zalalem. I guess then, these are the moments that we are going to lightly touch on. But Vegas scores pretty much like right in front of the goal. Again, like I said, Johnny on the spot. He gets that like ball played right to his foot pretty much. And then there you are. And then he gets that ball played right to him and basically just puts it in. I mean, it's essentially the dangerousness that we know of Johnny Rod, right?
Yeah, definitely the way that he found himself in Oakland last year in the right spot, right. Johnny on the spot is how I kind of refer to him, right? And that's honestly a perfectly weighted ball. I think the situation that kind of arises from that is kind of what we were talking about before. We kind of sucked ourselves into a little too far, and it seemed like the play broke pretty quick, and our midfielders were trying to catch up on a play where it's obviously like if you're looking at it from a perspective from where the field is, from like just the amount of players that are in your camera screen, it obviously looks like we have enough to get back. But Johnny finds himself in a nice little bit of space behind Herbert, behind Anthony Herbert, and that ball is played right into the spot, and all he does is stick his foot onto it. So it's the second goal where I was like, that's not good. That's really not good.
Well, Vegas started getting quite a bit of momentum. I did document the 79th minute where they had some shots. I believe Johnny Rod probably took a shot, shanked it. I just kind of documented that was kind of a result of the shifting of momentum to Vegas, that there were those looks later in the game, right? That 2-1. As far as I've been watching United, I've sat around people who've probably been watching soccer or been involved with it longer than myself. I've always heard a 2-1 is a dangerous score.
The 2-0 is the most dangerous lead that you can have in soccer. And you know what's funny?
It's 2-0? I thought it was 2-1, damn it.
No, it's 2-0. 2-0 is the most dangerous lead.
Okay.
And you know what's funny is I tell Irene that every single time. I'm like, yes, we scored. And she goes, and then she like looks at my face and she goes, what? I was like, bro, 2-0. I'm like, it's just not a score line. Anybody that you talk to in soccer or that has to deal with soccer knows that 2-0 is the most dangerous score line to be a part of, because it's one goal away from being over, or it's one goal away from being a brand new game, no matter where you are in the time. And so, yeah, definitely not a situation that I love being in either as a coach, is being up 2-0. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
Like, boy,
but yeah, no.
boy, I got that one wrong. I was like, make like a tree and get out of here.
No, it's 2-0. You were on the right spot. You were on the right track. We'll just pretend that you said 2-0 the whole time. But no, like it's one of those ones that like even though what they're down, we're up to 2-1, right? And I think but in my notes, I also put the same thing that they start going on a streak, and Johnny Rodriguez is the one getting some shots off, and they're kind of shanking. And that's where I wrote down Lady Luck still striking in Vegas, because if Johnny Rodriguez catches any one of the ones, because I think he has 2 shots in that 10-minute span before the second goal goes in for Vegas, he gets like 2 or 3 shots in where he's pretty much in on goal. He's got a good look,
right?
And he just mishits it, right? And Johnny Rodriguez in Oakland buries that.
Yeah.
And that's where I went, oh man, that's okay. Lady Luck on our side again today, because if that's Oakland Johnny, if that's Roots Johnny Rodriguez, that's a goal.
Right.
That's 100% a goal.
Yeah,
and we're just very fortunate that he shanks 3 of them, 2 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them. Yep, exactly. But it is definitely some foreshadowing of what Vegas was about to do. The hand that they were dealt. Certainly a cross that comes across the box gets to was that Jojal, and essentially is a equalizing goal in the 89th. Yeah, an equalizing goal in the 89th minute. Of course, we could say what we want to say. I was like, man, did he jump too soon? You know, as speaking to Alex Tembeck, did he jump too soon? But I mean, man, I am sure where that ball's coming and the perception that he's at, you probably cannot try to. There's probably not a whole lot that's going in your mind. You just got to kind of hope that you get a piece of that.
I think in his mind, that goal, like that shot, the way that it probably bends, because we don't get the best angle right from
until they showed it with like 6 different views.
I didn't see this. I might have just walked away because I went, what a worldie. Man, that's one of those ones that you just can't get as a keeper. You can't get right because of the way that the ball bends. And that's just probably in Tim Beckett's mind, like, no, that's going over the bar.
It looks like it would have been a direct shot to his hands, but when they showed the angle, it was definitely far side. So it probably just went across his face, like, you know, almost the quintessential curveball.
Yes. Nice. I would think I was just playing MLB The Show. I would think a nice slider coming across it. Yeah.
Damn, you're 2 for 2 on me, bro. What's going on? I don't watch enough baseball. That's what
nice.
That's it. You know, I would. You know, okay. Look, it's like a Dennis Eckersley.
Yes,
pitch.
There you go. There's
Sidewinder. Hey,
there we go. That's a good analogy. Yeah, no, that's definitely one that you have. That's hit really good. Like it just. I don't think that there's much kind of that you can do, and I wonder if Tambakis just gets it wrong or whatever. I went, man, what a worldie, what a goal to score,
right?
Especially like at such a good like time for them that I was like, okay, we walk away with 1 point. We probably should have walked away with 3. Even the announcer said that the game was very back and forth, and it was for that 70 to 80, 88 minute, 89th minute, whenever the second goal came in.
Yeah.
It was very back and forth, and it felt like to go back to your boxer analogy, it felt like just that last round, emptying the tank kind of thing,
right?
And just swinging and hoping something goes in, and sure enough, they get the equalizer, and so I think they even amount the pressure going into the 90th and going further into the 90th minute and into the stoppage time. But it definitely like a tough break, and I think even if any of the traveling fans were there, were I wonder how their hearts fell into their stomach or something, what they were feeling when that second goal went in. Because I know I sat there and went, "Oh, there goes 2 points that we should have kept onto," and so
right, yeah, definitely. Well, and then look, I mean. It wouldn't be over. I mean, definitely Johnny Rod probably had another opportunity in him. Of course, he definitely puts that one definitely in the upper stands. And so we're looking at the last few minutes. I think a minute or two, right, of the match.
The last kick is the last kick.
Oh, it is the last kick. You're right.
It's we're like, I think we're over the allotted stoppage of 4 minutes. It's like not very long. I want to say it's like 15 seconds, but we're in a corner and the referee's going to let that play out, obviously. So
yeah. Did you want to like line it up for us? Go ahead.
I thought that man hit an Olympico for a second. Because it's Marlon Vargas that steps up, and we set up for a short corner originally, and I thought that's not a good. I don't like that idea at all. I don't like the short corner idea. Like I said, put it in the box and have Fortune the bold, Fortune favor the bold. And Marlon Vargas, when he hit that, I went, this man just went for an Olympico.
Yo, and Pat, not for nothing. You know what I call Marlon Vargas, right?
Yes, you did.
What do I call him?
Oh wait, what do you call him?
Yeah, what did I initially call him back in the day?
Oh,
it ties into tonight's theme actually. Remember, I called him Marlon Vegas because like I misslipped on his name, and I was like, oh, Marlon Vegas. And I was like, oh wait, his last name was Vargas though, And so it just it was kind of a return to that for me when that ball goes in. I'm like, oh, dude, Marlon Vegas. That's that's back. That's back for me right there.
Well, there you go. Now we can start going on to Marlon Vegas now.
Bam, episode.
Bam, episode. Marlon Vegas. How did you feel about that goal going in?
Oh my gosh, like the theatrics lining up to it, right? I mean, essentially.
Oh yeah.
You got. He's lining up. He's kind of taking some false run ups, right? Just trying to see what everyone's going to do, which I thought was cool. He didn't get called for any delay or anything, but he was just kind of doing some run ups on it. I thought, okay, he kind of gets an idea because we weren't in the box. Like a lot of our players were not in the box, so they were really grouped up there. So I thought, oh, okay, like where's Tambakis? Is he on a run up? Like, or we just kind of basically just pulverize the box and just try to get someone in there, but. Essentially, I mean, the ball going across, I'm like, dope. Will's shin, but the ball was probably all the way across the line, but Will just kind of guaranteeing that it was going to stay in there was cool too.
Well, they gave the goal to Will Seymour.
Right. But we know.
That was definitely an Olympic. That ball definitely crossed the line. Like, even Will Seymour goes to celebrate with Marlon Vargas, right? Like,
they can share it. You know what I mean? Like, look, the internet analysts are going to probably freeze frame on that one too. And, do what they do, stretch it out, try to look at every which way of the angle. But we know definitely it was a goal. It just, how sick was it? It was sick that it definitely was, like you said, he was going for that Olympico, right? So
yeah, I wonder if, and the one thing that I would too. The one thing that kind of crossed my mind was the first like little stutter step run up that he goes and he steps over the ball.
Yeah.
I wonder if he saw something after he took a couple of steps back, because that, in my eyes, he's going for that,
right?
Because that ball is played a little too close to that front post defender and the keeper in that weird, awkward spot where do I jump or do I let my keeper get it, or as a keeper, do I go and get it or do I let him clear it? And I wonder if he saw something there that he was like, I'm going for this. Because and maybe Marlon Vargas can jump on and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm more than positive that man is going for an Olympico.
Make a note on the make a note somewhere in our chat when we have him on. I'm sure we'll have to pull up that clip and ask him about that clip.
Yeah, after I watched it, I went, no, that man was going for it. The replay in my mind was like, nah, he went for it.
So you're saying he was going for it like when Justin Portillo took that set piece kick around center pitch against Monarchs.
Yes.
And it went straight in.
Yes.
Okay.
It was one of those. He was going for it, and if he denies it, I think he's lying.
Make no mistake. Well, I don't think we have any callers. It typically probably is what happens when United wins. Everyone's like probably going to drink another brew, my job here is done, right? But again, we will be going live post match about 30-ish minutes or so, and we definitely provide the link so you can come on and share your comments and be a part of the show. Definitely let us know your 2 cents, or your 5 cents for that matter. So we'll definitely be doing this more often than not, but we do thank you for watching what you're watching. Pat, I think we're ready to wrap this one up.
Yeah. Chris, is there anything that we left out that you want to bring up?
I just want to say we are going to be recording our preview edition of the State of United. It is officially El Paso Hate Week. So definitely we'll make that preview episode interesting. We'll probably put out some post upper beginning of the week to get some questions you guys might have, or if you guys got any cool memes or anything that you want to get on the show.
I'm going in.
Yeah, if you got any,
I'm writing down the all the one-liners, all the whatever I can possibly get.
Well, and because this is Derby week, for Derby del Camino Real, we should spend some time and talk about the different matches played between New Mexico United and El Paso. Maybe recall some of the maybe the brighter moments, maybe some of the not so bright moments, and kind of make it quite the episode. So I think we should definitely get into the feels a little bit and make sure we visit the record and such. Besides that, I also want to plug the YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube, youtube.com/@seek-and-strike-nm. Definitely subscribe. Share it with your friends. Hit the little bell so anytime something pops up, you know what's going on. And that's all I've got, Pat.
Well, to our Patreon members, thank you for watching the episode. As always, your continued support helps us create this fun content, and for us to be able to do these post-game shows, which hopefully you guys start jumping on a lot more. This can be a lot. I like doing these. It's a lot more fun to talk about these reactions. To those that missed the live stream, because I am sure you guys are on a bus coming back home to Albuquerque, or you're betting, and if you're betting, bet on black.
Get the steak dinner, man. Get the free steak dinner.
Go for it, bro.
Go find your fry guy or something.
Hey,
shout out to Anthony out there, man. I know he's if you're with him, he's going to eat good, and so are you.
Exactly. And if cards are your game, never fold. Go for it. Roll the dice. Spin whatever. Put the chips down. Go for it. But once you are done winning all that money, and you send me and Chris a nice donation because I said to put on black 6. I think it's black 6. Put it on 6 or put it on black.
Put it on whatever, just yellow and black.
Yeah. Whatever you put it on the roulette table. Just don't forget that we said so. So, a nice little donation wouldn't be bad. But you can definitely check us out on Apple and Spotify in the next couple of days. Don't forget to rate and comment on the episode. Share it with your network so we can get out there, spread the good word of New Mexico United. But if that's it, for Chris Walker, I'm Patrick Baca, and this has been another episode of the Stay United.
Good night, guys.